Good evening friends, welcome to PDF for Exams YouTube channel. We are studying geography and today is day 21. In this video we will be learning the remaining part of climatology. So let's see what are the agendas of today's video. So in this video we will be learning about atmospheric circulation and weather system, and under these we will learn about cyclones, pressures and wind system, jet stream, air masses, fronts, humidity, climate region of the world, geographical phenomenon. So all these are the agenda of today's video. So starting with atmospheric pressure. So what is an atmospheric pressure, or what is normally a pressure? So in normal terms you might have heard that someone has lots of pressure on his mind. Pressure means someone who is forcing you to do any activity. So any kind of force that is available is called pressure. So in case of atmospheric pressure, the atmosphere which exert pressure on us or the earth's surface is called atmospheric pressure. In last video, that is yesterday's video, we have learned what is atmosphere. Atmosphere was an envelope of gases which is surrounding our earth's surface. So if this is earth, an envelope of gases which is surrounding around the earth was called atmosphere. So this layer of gases which is exerting pressure, where is it exerting pressure? It is exerting pressure on earth's surface, which is called atmospheric pressure. That means atmosphere which exerts pressure on the surface of earth is called atmospheric pressure. There are several units in which we denote this atmospheric pressure. It is bars, millibars, dyne, but here we will be using millibar as normal unit for atmospheric pressure. So generally the normal atmospheric pressure is 1013.2 millibar. So any pressure which is above this would be called as high pressure, and the pressure which is below this would be called as low pressure. So this is normal tendency or normal unit or low pressure and high pressure measurement in terms of millibar. So I hope you have understood what is the atmospheric pressure. Now there are several factors which are responsible for pressure. That means the pressure would be low or high at different places. The factors, there are various factors which are responsible for them. And one more thing which you should know is that how is this pressure formed? These pressure are exerted on earth's surface because of the air and temperature. So the most important factor which is responsible for low pressure or high pressure or type of pressure which is being exerted on earth's surface is air temperature. How it is responsible? So see, this is our earth's surface, and air or wind is the horizontal movement of air only, whereas when air moves upward it is called air, or the gases which moves upwards is called air, and when it moves horizontally it is called as wind. So the air temperature is responsible for different kind of pressure on our earth's surface. How it is responsible? See, if this is earth's surface, just a minute, if this is earth's surface and air is above this earth's surface, now it receives heat energy from sun, earth's surface, and we have seen yesterday in heat budget that some amount of heat energy was absorbed by earth's surface, some was reflected by earth's surface, some heat energy was absorbed by cloud, and so all the heat energy receiving from the sun has been utilized in some form or the other, and some of the percentage of heat is being reflected. So the earth, the heat which is absorbed by this earth's surface and some of the heat which gets reflected, it tends to move in the medium which is air. Air is the medium over here. So this medium will get affected if air or radiation is being reflected from this earth's surface, or this air is in contact with earth's surface. This medium will also be get affected. That means the temperature of this air will also increase. So when temperature of this air will increase, what will happen? Generally you know what happens. The lighter object moves upwards, whereas the heavier object moves downwards. It is general tendency because of gravity also. Gravity is also acting over here. The higher the object, it will have more tendency to be attracted towards the earth, and lighter object it can easily move away from the earth's surface. So when temperature, then the air temperature of this air increases, it becomes light in weight and starts moving upwards. Hence this area over here, a high pressure would be created. Why high pressure will be created? Because temperature is low and the gases are moving upwards, the air is moving upwards. And in opposite case, what happen when the temperature of the air is low, then what? It will create a very high pressure. Why high pressure? So if it is earth's surface and over here lots of air are present and temperature of this air is low, and if temperature of air is low, the weight of this air would be heavier. Why the weight of this air would be heavier? Because of low temperature it will contain more amount of water vapor, dust particle and other matter which will make the air heavier, hence it will exert more pressure on the surface of the earth, and that's why it will create higher pressure, or it will create a higher pressure zone on the earth's surface. So overall we can see temperature is inversely proportional to pressure. That means temperature is inversely proportional to pressure, or we can say pressure is inversely proportional to temperature, both are same. So what does this inversely proportional means? It means whenever temperature will increase, pressure will decrease, and if pressure decreases, if temperature decreases, pressure will increase. Inversely means just opposite. Directly proportional means if temperature will increase, pressure will increase, and inversely is just opposite. If one factor is increasing, the other factor will decrease. So here we have seen that air temperature is responsible for creating different kind of pressure at different places. Next is earth rotation. Now how is this earth rotation responsible for creation of various pressure belts or various pressure at different areas? As you know, wind is an important factor. What is wind? The horizontal movement of air. Now if this is earth's surface and various places of earth's surface receive different amount of heat. If sun is here, it is producing our heat energy. The earth receives heat energy differently at different places. Equator receives most amount of heat, whereas the polar region receives less amount of heat energy. Now when earth is rotating or moving from one place to another, so this part is already heated, and over here after heating what will happen? High pressure will be created. Why high pressure will be created? Because the air moves upwards, and that's why a low pressure temperature of the air is high, that's why over here low pressure will be created. Now when this area moves away from this place, that means when the sun is on the other side and the other side, over here a high pressure might be created because of lower temperature of air. So earth rotation is also responsible for formation of different pressure at different places. Next is pressure of water vapor. Now water vapor is also responsible because with the help of water vapor the temperature of the air varies, because the content of water vapor will increase the density of air and it will not easily get heated, and it will obviously create a very high pressure. So this is all about the factors which are responsible for variation of pressure at different areas. Now what next that we are going to learn is pressure belt of world. There are several pressure belt. What are those pressure belts? We'll see through diagrams what happens and how it functions. So as you in the diagram you can see there are several pressure belts, and how these pressure belts are denoted by several names we'll see over here. So at equator, we can see equator, it is termed as equatorial low pressure belt. So at equator the pressure would be low, that's why it is called as equatorial low pressure belt. And other name for this equatorial low pressure belt is doldrums. This is the other name which you need to remember. It might ask an exam by giving reference with other name like doldrum. So why the pressure at equator is low? As we know, the equator receives most amount of heat from sun at its nearest portion to the sun. So that's why when it receives more amount of heat over here, the air which is at the equator will rise up, and when air at the equator will rise up, it will have more temperature, and we have seen pressure is inversely proportional to temperature, although where there are other factors also which are responsible over here, but still if we consider the temperature as a factor, so according to that factor what will happen, the air will heat up and move upwards, and because of that near the equator a low pressure belt will be created. Now when it is heated and it moves upwards, there is a certain reason, there is an tropopause above beyond which the air cannot move. So it has to be scattered horizontally. So some air moves in the northern hemisphere, whereas some air moves in southern hemisphere. Now after moving, after traveling little bit some distance, what will happen? It will become lightened. It will become heavier. It will become heavier. Why it will become heavier? Because it has already traveled much distance and it shedded its energy, what energy it had. The temperature is a kind of energy which it is having. So after moving few distance, it will start moving downwards. Now it will move downwards because the temperature over here has reduced because of the movement of these gases or the airs. And over here the amount of heat which was received at the subtropical regions, these are Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, Over here the amount of heat which was received was lesser as compared to the amount of heat received at equator. So over here already the pressure was high as compared to the pressure of equator. So we are just comparing, a comparative analysis done. Subtropical high or low pressure doesn't means that over here the air will be very cold. It doesn't mean that. We are just comparing, a comparative analysis is done. So over here what will happen, pressure would be high. Why pressure would be high? Because it is receiving lesser amount of energy, heat energy from the sun as compared to the equator. But again, as we saw, the air which was moving from here visited or reached here, and it also submerged into subtropical zone, and these are called as horse latitude also. So this makes over here, first at equator we had low pressure, then comes the high pressure, then again at polars what happened, there are several winds. You have to understand these various pressure belt, you need to know about the winds also. We'll see later what are winds, but let's understand what are these pressure belt, then we'll understand what are winds. So at this polar front, these polar front, what happens, the air from the poles come. The air from the poles, the air at the poles, what type of air would be there at poles? It will be obviously cold air. So, and if it is cold air is present near the poles because it received the least amount of heat energy from the sun. Since it received least amount of the sun energy, over here the area would be cold and air will be cold. That's why over here the belt would be high pressure belt. Now again the process which happened over here, the warm air rised up and moved in subtropical zone. Over here same thing will happen, the air will move from polar zone to this subpolar zone, and over here a high pressure belt would be created. So we can see over here low pressure, I'm getting confused, this low pressure belt will be created. So we can see over here an alternative, first low pressure belt is created, then high pressure belt is created, then again low pressure belt is created, and at the end again high pressure belt is created. And it's similar in southern hemisphere also. In southern hemisphere also, first at equator we have low pressure, then we'll have a high pressure belt, then we'll have a low pressure belt, again at the southern pole we have a high pressure belt. So I hope this is clear about the different kind of belts we have, the pressure belts we have on our earth's surface. Now when we will see, or when we learn about the wind, it will become more clear. Now what are winds? So as we have seen that the horizontal movement of air is called winds. And why do these winds blow? Just because of difference between the pressure. Where and how does these winds blow? So winds always blow from high pressure to low pressure. Why these winds blow from high pressure to low pressure? Now what happens at low pressure, you should know, I've already told that at low pressure what happens, the air which is on the surface of the earth, it gets heated up and starts moving upwards. Now a space is created over here. Now some other air has to fill this gap. So the air which is at high pressure means the temperature is low, it will move over here and fill this gap. So we can see over here the horizontal movement of air is called as wind. And the movement of wind there are several factors which affect the movement of winds, like the movement of the earth's surface. Earth rotates, we know it rotates on axis, so this is also important factor which is responsible for blowing of wind in several direction. And this temperature, the pressure belt, difference of pressure zone also is responsible for blowing of these winds. Now generally these winds are of many types, but basically they are of two types. First is permanent wind, and the second is local wind. Now what are these permanent winds? These permanent winds, these are characterized by the winds which blows in same direction throughout the year. That means they will not change their direction throughout the year no matter what. Whereas local winds, these winds blow at some local place, like in northern part of our country we have Lu during summer season, we have Chinook in colder area. So there are several kind of local wind which blows in several locations only. But these permanent winds, these blow in same direction throughout the year. So let's see what are these permanent winds. So we have understood the pressure belts, and we have also understood how these winds blow. So there are trade winds, northeast trade winds and southeast trade winds. Now how names of these winds are given? So the direction from which these winds are blowing, with that these names are given. So as we can see, the arrow symbol is this side. So what is the direction? We know the direction: north, south, east and west. So this wind is coming from northeast direction. That's why the name of this wind is being given as northeast trade winds. Whereas southeast, the wind is coming from southeast. This is east and south, and these winds are coming from southeast. That's why they are named as southeast winds. And the other two permanent winds are westerlies and easterlies. Westerlies means the winds which are flowing from west direction, and easterlies mean the winds which are blowing from east direction. You can see in the diagram itself. So this is very clear how do winds blow and what are the kinds of winds. One is permanent wind and other is temporary wind. Permanent winds, you have understood that they blow in same direction throughout the year. And why does this direction of wind changes? It's not just because of the pressure zone, difference in pressure zone, the Coriolis effect, the movement of earth called the change in direction of wind, that is called Coriolis effect. So that's why this wind tends to change the direction. So in southern hemisphere, what happened? In southern hemisphere, these winds blows towards the left side. That means from here in southern hemisphere, we see these winds tends to move towards the left side, and in north hemisphere these winds tends to move towards the right side. Actually they were moving in straight direction, but because of this Coriolis effect they tend to move change the direction of the movement. Okay, so this is very clear. Now westerly wind we have understood. Polar wind, we know the winds which are blowing at polar region. Those are easterlies. You have seen in the diagram over here, the winds blowing near the polar region, they are blowing from east direction. That's why they are called polar easterlies. Next is periodic or seasonal winds. So these winds which blow in particular season, or they stop or change their direction in particular season, those are called as periodic or seasonal winds. Summer monsoon and winter monsoon. We know what is this monsoon. Monsoon means the winds which are carrying water droplets which are responsible for raining. So the winds which carry the monsoon in summer, they are called as summer monsoon, and the wind which carry monsoon during winter season, they are called as winter monsoon. And these winds are responsible for precipitation at several places in summer season. So as at this present time we know, till June we have summer season. After that the rainy season starts. So the rain whichever falls in northern area of our country, they are known as summer monsoon. And in wind also, and some during winter also, we have seen some time in January and February rain precipitation is seen in northern part of our country. So those winds carry winter monsoon. So this is all about the winds. Now next important point that we have to understand is land and sea breeze. So we have already understood this land breeze and sea breeze in last video, but we'll see again what are these land breeze and sea breeze. So during daytime what happens? During daytime the continents or the places near the ocean tends to heat up more easily. Why they tends to heat up more energy? Because these are solid substance, they are immobile, that means they are permanent, they don't move here and there. That's why they heat up more easily, and the warm air tends to rise up. Now when these warm air moves or rises upwards, what will happen? This zone will create a, what will it create? It will create a low pressure. Why it will create a low pressure? Because the temperature has increased, and we have seen pressure is inversely proportional to temperature. If temperature increases, the pressure decreases. That's why this region will have a low pressure. Now, and these breeze, and then whereas the air on the earth, the surface of the sea are cooler as compared to the air on the land. That's why these air tends to move and fill the gap which has been created by movement of warm air over here. And these kind of breeze are called sea breeze. So we can see sea breeze movement is held during the daytime. So similar, the opposite phenomenon which happened at night, what happened? At night the same process will be done, but the land breeze will be this breeze from the land, the sea wind from the land is blow on the surface of the sea. Why it will happen? Because at night the sea they take more time to cool down as compared to the land surface. Land surface the continents take similar time. That means it will very soon or very quickly it will heat up, and very quickly it will cool down. So because of that, at night it cools more quickly than the sea, and hence over here high pressure is created, whereas low pressure is created at on the surface of the oceans. And that's why, as we have seen, wind always blow from high pressure to low pressure. That's why and movement of land breeze can be seen over here. So I hope this land breeze and sea breeze is very clear. Next kind of breeze or wind is mountain and valley wind. So this is very much similar phenomenon to what we have seen in land breeze and sea breeze. Over here what happened during the daytime, these slopes get heated very quickly as they receive more amount of sun rays than the valleys. So this is the valley and these are the slopes. So when any part receive more amount of heat during daytime, the air will heat up and it will move upwards. This is very common phenomenon, and after reaching at certain height, what will happen, it will start cooling down because it can't move beyond an tropopause. From there it will start cooling down, and the cool air, what happens to cool air, it moves downwards very drastically. So from there it will cool up and move in the valleys. So we can see, and this process will keep on going. That's why during daytime what will happen, the valleys will be very colder as compared to the slopes, because cool air is coming on the valleys. And at night what happened, at night the same thing happened. These slopes cools very easily, and when these slopes cools very easily, the cold breeze, the cold air tends to move or roll downwards in the valleys, and because of this warm air will move upwards. Because cold air is heavier than warm air, it will take its place and warm air will move up automatically. So this is valley and mountain breeze. So I hope this is clear. Next is regional winds. So we have seen the winds which blow, these are the local winds which blow in several regions, like Lu, Fan, Chinook are important hot winds of the local category. These are the hot winds. Lu, you might have observed this Lu, it blows during the summer season, and these are very hot in nature. And there are several characteristics which you can read out from here. Next topic that we are going to study is air masses. So air masses, air mass I have discussed in last video also. Air mass is what? So it has its characteristics that uniform temperature and pressure and moisture. The air which has uniform temperature, pressure and moisture will be considered as air mass. So air mass is nothing but a collection of air, a huge area of air which is having same amount of temperature, pressure and moisture, that will be considered as air mass. So for example, if this is Earth's surface in several kilometers, it is not that just a very small area, this is of very long distance, very huge areas. So if this is a land mass, these are two land masses of air, land masses, and if sun is emitting sunlight and both are receiving sunlight, so if this is this land mass is near the equator and this land mass is near the polar region, so what will happen, the air over here, the air all over this Earth's surface will heat up, and it will have almost unique temperature, not unique, equivalent temperature everywhere. Pressure will be same and moisture content will be also same. Whereas the polar region, this entire area will have similar temperature, pressure and moisture. So the air above this particular area and air above this particular area would be considered as air mass. Where this will be hot air mass, this will be cold air mass. Now, as we have seen that wind always blows, or air which blows horizontally is called wind. So wind blows from high pressure to low pressure. So where high pressure is created, it will start moving. Now there would be a time when these two winds, the hot winds and the cold winds, will converge or strike each other. So the layer or the boundary when it strikes, so this is the boundary, this is the warm air, this is cold air. So this boundary will be called as front. The front is also a very important concept which we have already discussed in last chapter. So the boundary at which the warm air mass and the cold air mass strike is called an front. So I hope this front is very much clear. Now next is high pressure and low pressure system. So I don't need to explain this again and again, what is this high pressure and low pressure. So the area where the air is very warm and it moves upwards, that area creates a low pressure, and the area where the pressure is or the temperature of the air is very low, in that area the pressure would be very high. So we have seen several pressure belts also, and why those pressure belts perform, we have seen that too. Now coming to cyclones. So what are these cyclones? So if we define or try to give definition of these cyclones, you might have experienced cyclone in recently there was cyclone in Bengal. Cyclone almost every year we see some or the other cyclones coming up, because it's a geographical phenomenon and it keeps on happening. So cyclone is spiral movement of wind at low pressure center. So there are two terms which we need to know. One is cyclone and the other is anticyclone. So we'll study these two phenomena parallelly so that we can understand clearly what is this cyclone and what is this anticyclone. So what happens, if you remember the movement of wind, you have to just keep the movement of wind also in mind to understand the concept of the cyclone and anticyclone. So as we have seen the definition, cyclone is the spiral movement of wind at low pressure center. Where is low pressure center? So we have seen the pressure belts. At equator the pressure was very low, and next tropical zone the pressure was high as compared to this, and again there was low pressure, and at the end poles we had high pressure. So what happened, winds blow from high pressure to low pressure. We have seen this also, but over here what happened, air gets heated up at low pressure and it start moving upwards. It's very clear, and when it start moving upwards, low pressure would be created over here, and when low pressure would be created over here, and over here what we had, high pressure. So the wind will start moving or taking place of this low pressure area. So because of this movement, it will form a cyclic movement would be formed over here on the surface of earth, equator, and these other polars, other top pressure belt. A cyclic movement of this air will be formed, or cyclic movement of wind will be formed, and the direction which is determined. So we saw the direction of the winds in the northern hemisphere. What happened in northern hemisphere, the wind tended to move rightwards, as well as in southern hemisphere the wind tends to move leftward. I'm talking about the trade winds. So in southern hemisphere the wind is blowing in southern hemisphere the wind is tending to move left, whereas in northern hemisphere it is tending to move rightwards. When you stand on the position over here, then when you observe from this place, then you see the movement of wind. So what happened in cyclone, just a minute, I'll draw a diagram, then you will understand better what I'm trying to tell. If we consider this as equator is low pressure belt, we already know, and there are two conditions which we have seen, one is cyclone and one is anticyclone. The most common point which we need to know, or the most important point that we should understand about these cyclones and anticyclone, is that in cyclone the center would be low pressure, whereas in anticyclone the center would be as high pressure. This is the main difference. So this is center and this is the center of an cyclone. So cyclone are of two types. One is cyclone which moves clockwise, whereas the other cyclone in which the movement of the air is anti-clockwise. Similar it goes with the movement of anticyclone. One is clockwise and the other is anti-clockwise. Now why does there is difference between the movement of these cyclone and anticyclones? So as we have seen, the movement of wind due to Coriolis effect, it changes its path. So if it has to move straight, but because of Coriolis effect it will either move to left side or it will either move to right side depending upon the hemisphere in which it is moving. So in case of northern hemisphere, what happens, the wind tends to move rightwards. So if this is northern hemisphere, in case of cyclone, if we are talking, the winds tends to move rightwards. So if we are standing here, if wind has to move here, but due to Coriolis effect it has to take a path this way, right, and then move. And over here we are seeing that and circular motion of air is formed, and because of this circular motion of air, it will carry away all kind of clouds, all kind of water vapor from the ocean. And when it will carry the water vapor from the ocean, it will move up, this air will move up and clouds will be formed. Because why these clouds will be formed? Because air cannot move beyond tropopause. This I have said several times, and these clouds will move further and will tend to rainfall or precipitation. So during cyclone you might have observed or you might have heard in news that due to cyclone lots of heavy rainfall has been experienced in coastal areas. So this is just because of this factor, because due to low pressure center, what happens, the wind moves upwards carrying the moisture with it, and when it moves upward it moves horizontally, and after moving horizontally in coastal area lots of precipitation can be seen. Whereas in anticyclone it will be opposite. In anticyclone what will happen, the air will not converge, it will diverge. Over here what we saw, the center was low pressure and air was converging, but here the air would be diverging in nature. And the important factor over here that can be seen is clear sky. In case of anticyclone, the important aspect or important characteristic that has to be observed is the sky would be clear. Now again, to understand it little more clearly, we'll go back to the belts, pressure belt, then you will understand more clearly. Let me take you to the image of bed over here. Oh no, not this one. This is the bed. Okay. So what happened, as I told, in case of cyclone, there are two belts. This is the northern hemisphere and this is the southern hemisphere. So in northern hemisphere, what you can see, the wind which is blowing, it is tending to move rightwards. Okay, when you it is tending to move rightwards. Now when it tends to move rightwards, what will happen? The air is moving in this way. You can see over here, air is moving this way. Any air which is moving this way. So this is the movement of air which is converging in nature, and which will move upwards. Why it will move upwards? Because over here the pressure is low. At low pressure, what happened? Temperature of the air reduces and the air moves upwards. So similar thing is happening over here. The temperature is reducing, because of that low pressure is being created and the air is moving upwards. And because of this direction, the direction of the winds, the movement of wind will be spiral in nature, because it is tending to move in rightward direction in comparison to its normal route, because of Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect we have already seen that due to movement of Earth's surface, this Coriolis effect happens, and because of that the wind tends to change their path. Now here we have seen the direction of these winds, and what is the direction? That means it is forming a cyclone. And what is the direction of this? It is anti-clockwise. How a clock moves? Clock moves this way, but here the direction of the movement of wind is anti-clockwise. So in northern hemisphere, the cyclones, whatever cyclones will be formed in northern hemisphere, will be anti-clockwise in nature, whereas the cyclones which are formed in southern hemisphere, they will be clockwise. The winds will blow in clockwise. Now when they move upwards, we have seen after moving to certain heights upwards, it will move horizontally, and it will shed or precipitate the moisture, whatever the content it had on the ground. That's why lots of precipitation can be seen near the coastal area. So this was all about the cyclones and anticyclones. Let's see what else is remaining. I hope this cyclones and anticyclones are clear. You studied land breeze, sea breeze, mountain breeze, valley breeze. You have seen these fronts also. Tropical cyclones. So these are just distribution, that means where are these distributed. So that's all for today's video. I hope you have understood the winds and pressure belts, cyclones and anticyclone. If you have any doubts, you can always ask in the comment box. Most hopefully I'll try to explain your doubts in next video. Thanks for watching. See you next video. Till then, goodbye. So this ends our climatology. From next video we're starting another chapter of geography. Thank you.